Whatever you do, do not book a photo shoot with a brand photographer until you've watched this video. My last video talked about how to choose the right brand photographer, and in today's video, we're going to go over 30 questions that you need to have the answers to before you officially book your shoot. I want to start off by saying, please do not be a lazy client. You can probably find the answers to a lot of these questions by reading someone's website. And as a business owner yourself, I'm sure you understand how annoying and frustrating it can be to put in the time and effort to put answers to things on your website and then have people ask really lazy questions. I'm all for asking all the questions, and I really don't think there are stupid questions so much as there are lazy questions. Check to see if you can find the information first. And then if you can't, write them down and save them for when you are face-to-face or on a call with the photographer, and you can ask them then. A lot of photographers will have a process for how they run their sales calls or consultations or discovery calls or whatever they call them. And so it's best to let the photographer lead through that and then save your questions for the end, because chances are a lot of your questions will be answered. However, it's not a bad idea for you to have a list of these questions ready to go and check off as you get your answers. That way you make sure everything's answered. Matter of fact, I'm going to throw all these in a PDF for you so that you can download them, and I will throw that link in the comments below, and then you don't even have to take the time to write this down or take notes. Sound good? Okay, question number 1. Do you have experience working with entrepreneurs or small businesses? This is a really important question because there are people who will say yes to any kind of photography for clients because they want the work. And that makes sense. But when it comes to you making an investment for your business, it's really important to make sure that you are hiring somebody who has the experience. Number 2, I hate being photographed and I'm afraid it will show in my photos. How do you help with that? If you're a person who's really comfortable in the camera, obviously this isn't a question that you need to worry about, but if it is your first shoot or you just don't like being in front of the camera, then this is a good question to ask. Which takes us to number 3. Do you help me with posing, or do I need to have a list of my own poses ready? This is a good question to ask because you want to work with somebody who can pose you and make you look good and not awkward. However, it doesn't hurt to have a Pinterest board or pictures saved of poses that you like, because the more you express what you want, the more likely you are to get it. Number 4, do you do product images or stock type photos? This is important if you have a product that you are an affiliate for or your own product that you want within your shoot, and maybe you have photos of yourself and maybe you want photos of the products by themselves. And photographing those two things is different, so it's important to ask. Sometimes stock imagery can be boring, so having someone take photos of your journals and your desk and your favorite mug and things like that can just be fun stuff to add into your website and your branding. Number 5, and this one is super important. How do you get to know and understand my brand and business? A photographer has to understand your brand vision and your goals for your photos in order to bring those to life. So it's really important that they have a process for how they get to know you. Number 6, will we be using a mood board or vision board or Pinterest board? This is important because obviously we're creating visuals, so having a visual aid of something that you're going for is just a really good thing to have. And so it's important to ask if that's something that they do with you. Do you have to bring it yourself? How does that all work? Number 7, do I get watermarked, web-sized, or full resolution images? A lot of photographers do add watermarks to images, and if you're using a photo for your business, you probably don't want someone else's logo on it. It's also good to know the size that they provide, because you don't want smaller images and then trying to add them big on your website can get all pixelated and things like that. Just ask. Number 8, what are the use rights with my images? You're essentially asking what you have permission to use them for, which takes us to number 9. Do I receive commercial use licensing? And if so, how long does it last? Having this is important because chances are you're going to use your brand photos to make more money. and you don't want a photographer to come down the line, notice you're making more money on something because you added it to a book or you added it to your course or anything like that, and suddenly you're making money, and your photographer comes back and says, well, my images are a part of that thing that's making you money now, so I want royalties, pay up. No, we don't want to deal with that. You want to make sure that the images are yours to use and that you understand what rights you have in using them and what they can be used for. Number 10, can I use filters, crop, or add text to my photos? This is important because a lot of photographers don't allow any kind of alteration to their images. So you want to make sure that if you have a certain filter you like to use, that you can still use it. If you have text or some sort of advertisement that you want to add on top of an image, or if you want to crop an image to fit a certain place or a certain width or anything like that, you just want to be sure that you have permission to do that. Number 11, how long will the shoot last? It's pretty obvious why you want to ask this question so that you can plan accordingly. Number 12, do you shoot in a studio or a natural light? Now, this is a question that probably you really don't need the answer to unless you're going for a very specific look. For the most part, you should just be able to trust your photographer to get what you need. Look at their website and things like that ahead of time because you want to make sure their style is what you want in the first place. And if it is, let them deal with how the whole light situation works. Number 13, how many locations do we shoot in? Number 14, how do we choose and secure locations? It's really important to know if your photographer is going to do this for you, if you're responsible for doing it, or if it's going to be a collaborative situation. It's also good to know ahead of time if there are going to be additional fees and if it's included, all that sort of stuff. Because sometimes you have to rent places or pay a fee to shoot somewhere. So it's really good to ask these questions because you don't want to have any surprise fees come up that you weren't expecting to pay for. Number 15, what is the plan if we can't shoot outside due to inclement weather? Obviously, it's good to know what the plan is if it happens to be pouring down rain or a snowstorm blows through or something crazy like that. It's always good to have a plan B. Number 16, what kind of editing do you do? And I don't mean what is your style of editing, because remember, you're going to do your homework ahead of time and look at their portfolio and all of that kind of stuff. So you're not asking like, what do your images look like? What we really want to know is, do they over airbrush skin? Do they remove a zit if you wake up that morning and you've got an angry friend who's not really your friend? Do they fix your flyaways? Will they edit people out of the background if there's a bunch of people who don't belong there? Things like that. Which takes us to number 17. Do you offer retouching? Now, for my clients, I'm not a huge fan of retouching, like at all, because you should be showing up who you are as you are, and people want to see the real you. So I don't Photoshop people skinnier or like contour faces or any of that sort of thing. I will do some small editing, if there's a bruise or a scratch or a zit that somebody doesn't have all the time, then yes, I will remove that to make them look more like the best version of themselves. But in terms of, reshaping and all of that, that's not something I do. But if that is something that you are looking for, it's important to ask your photographer if they offer retouching, if it's included, or if it's an additional fee. Number 18, do you have props that we get to use in my session, or do I need to bring my own? Number 19, is hair and makeup included? And if it's not, do you have a hair and makeup artist that you can recommend? Chances are your photographer, if they don't already include it, has somebody that they get along with great and will do a really good job. So it's always best to just ask. Number 20, do you help me decide what to wear? Now, not all of us brand photographers are into clothing and fashion and style. So it's important to ask this to know if they're going to provide you with some sort of guidance or if you need to seek that out on your own. And for the most part, they probably have a recommendation if it's not something that they do. Number 21, how many different outfits do I get to wear? You need to know the answer to this for obvious reasons, like how many outfits you need to find or bring or buy. But it also helps you know how much of a variety you're going to be getting in terms of different looks and how long you'll be able to use your photos for. Number 22, how much does it cost to work with you? For some reason, people get really awkward when it comes to the part of the conversation where they have to discuss money. Just straight up ask, how much does it cost to work with you? You want to know how much it costs and what you're paying, right? Number 23, Are photos included or are they sold separately? This might sound like a silly question, but there are a lot of photographers who charge a sitting fee, which tends to cover their hair and makeup or their time for the photo shoot, and then they charge you separately based on how many photos you want to purchase. There's nothing wrong with doing it either way. It's just important for you to know how many you're getting with the price that they tell you. And if they're included, it takes us to number 24. How many photos do I receive? Number 25, what is the process for selecting the final images? It's good to know if the photographer is going to pick their favorites and deliver them, or if you get to choose your own. I accidentally just rolled number 26 in with 25, but it was, do I get to choose my own images? Number 27, how will I receive my images? Will they be given to me via an online download? Will there be an online album for me to look at? Do I get it on a USB drive? How does that work? Number 28, how long will it take to receive my photos, or what is the turnaround time? Obviously, this is a good question to ask because you want to know when you're going to get your stuff back. Number 29, what is required to book and how do I do it? Some photographers require a small deposit, others require 50% down, others require being paid in full to get on their calendar. Know the requirements of booking with this particular photographer so that you can plan accordingly, and if you feel like it's a good fit, book your shoot. Number 30, what can I do to prepare? Asking this question will help tie up any loose ends or anything else that was not covered in the conversation that led up to this last question. This will also help you determine what your next steps are in making sure that you are prepared as possible for your shoot. So there you have it, 30 questions that you need the answers to before you book a photo shoot with a brand photographer. And remember, I've made this easy for you. There is a free checklist that you can download, and the link is in the description. If you like this video, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications so that you're notified every time I put out a new video. In the comments below, let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video.